Well, happy World Down Syndrome Day and welcome to this event. I'm Bridget Snedden, Vice President of Down Syndrome International, and I come from New Zealand. On behalf of the trustees of Down Syndrome International, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 7th World Down Syndrome Day Conference at the United Nations headquarters here in New York. A warm welcome is extended to the global online community connected to this event through the UN Web TV, the DSI Live Facebook feed, and, of course, Twitter. 21 March 2018 marks the 13th anniversary of World Down Syndrome Day. We know that there has been an increased awareness of the barriers faced by people with Down syndrome to live good lives in community. This year, the global theme is What I Bring to My Community. And for this conference, the theme is What I Bring to the Workplace, enabling all people with Down syndrome to contribute and live valued lives. Research has shown that people with Down syndrome are loyal employees, they increase the morale in the workplace, and are more likely to stay longer in their job than other employees. Today we will hear from employers, organisations who are leaders in the areas of employment of people with Down syndrome and other disabilities. We will also hear from business owners and learn what it takes when everyone else says, no, you're not the right fit for our company. They will share their wisdom and knowledge in the new frontiers of full inclusion. Down Syndrome International acknowledge our co-organisers, the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, our co-sponsors, the International Labour Organisation, Inclusion International, and the International Disability Alliance. Our supporters, UNICEF, along with the many agencies and companies noted on the program. Down Syndrome International is extremely grateful to our sponsors, the permanent missions to the United Nations of Australia, Brazil, Canada, India, Israel, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mongolia, Poland, United Kingdom. It is now with pleasure that I introduce Her Excellency Ms. Johanna Ronishka, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Republic of Poland to the United Nations.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. Excellencies, dear and distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Let me warmly welcome you all to the celebrations of the World Down Syndrome Day, this year organized under the title, What I Bring to the Workplace. Enabling all people with Down syndrome to contribute and live the valued working lives to be fully included in the community. Poland is proud to be one of the co-organizers of this event, and our continuous support only proves the commitment of my government to the promotion and protection of rights of persons with Down syndrome. World Down Syndrome Day observed each March 21st since 2012 provides a unique opportunity to raise awareness and promote the rights of persons with disabilities. I am pleased that this year we focus our discussion on the question of employment. We have no doubts that the access to decent, meaningful work is crucial for ensuring the quality of life for persons with intellectual disabilities. Moreover, we believe that when people with disabilities are employed and supported in their work, they contribute highly to flourishing of business. Poland believes that self-advocates play a crucial role in promoting their own rights. The best way to change negative social attitudes toward people with disabilities is to hear their personal experiences. Let me welcome very warmly Mrs. Anna Fejcher, who came for today's conference from Poland to talk about her work at the Ministry of Health. In Poland, there are approximately 60,000 persons with Down syndrome. We attach great importance to the implementation of policies, plans, programs, and actions at the national and regional level to give equal opportunities to persons with disabilities. We have a comprehensive national-wide legal framework which enables the promotion and protection of rights of persons with disabilities, including of persons with Down syndrome. Polish government is currently developing an all-encompassing 2018-2030 strategy for the persons with disabilities. Its main purpose is to increase the participation of disabled persons in social and professional life. Importantly, similar strategies are regularly adopted at local governments level, thanks to which the rights of persons with disabilities, including with Down syndrome, remain in the focus of Polish administration at all times. I want to stress that this would not be possible without the strong engagement of Polish civil society organizations whose work and dedication contributes greatly to the promotion of rights of persons with disabilities. Let me conclude by reiterating that Poland will continue its efforts to further promote and protect human rights of all, in particular those with disabilities, as we believe that an inclusive environment, including the working environment, is beneficiary for all of us. I wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It is now with pleasure that I introduce His Excellency Dr. Toshiya Hoshino, Ambassador and Deputy Permanent Representative of Japan to the United Nations.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Government of Japan, I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to Down Syndrome International for taking the initiative to organize today's conference. Japan is very honored to be a co-sponsor together with Poland and other missions here in New York at the United Nations. And actually, it is very encouraging to hear so many good news and encouraging news on the circumstances surrounding persons with Down syndrome these days. And I'm very particularly pleased to share the panel with Ms. Colette DeVito this morning here, because I've already met her through YouTube and news video, and very much impressed with her talent and entrepreneurship, her success, her dream and vision. And she is an example of that potential and also the future of the persons with Down syndrome. And the participation, I think that the participation of persons with Down syndrome in the workplace has had a positive impact on many workplaces by providing diverse views and abilities. However, we have to admit there are still various problems to be solved in order to realize the full society social inclusion of all persons, including the persons with Down syndrome. So today's panel discusses the theme of what I bring to the workplace, with the participation of the employer, employees, experts, and persons with Down syndrome. I think this is a very, very timely and constructive meeting, and I expect today's discussion will contribute to the full social inclusion of persons with Down syndrome. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce that in Japan, the first Japan Congress of Down syndrome was held last November, initiated by Japan Down Syndrome Society. And this Congress was the first nationwide and comprehensive attempt to discuss the circumstances surrounding persons with Down syndrome. There are many sub-panels focusing on medical issues, the workplace, education, and welfare assistance. In these sub-panel on workplace, discussions were held in order to share and discuss good practices in the workplace. And to achieve an inclusive society, raising awareness of Down syndrome is crucially important. In Tokyo, a kick-off event for World Syndrome Day was held under the theme of What I Bring to My Community. It was held on February the 12th. More than 30 events aimed at raising awareness on World Down Syndrome Day are taking place all over Japan, and I'm very happy to note that fact. The government of Japan will continue its effort to realize a society in which every individual, including persons with Down syndrome, plays an active role and lives a fruitful and fulfilling life. I thank you very much for your kind attention, and happy World Down Syndrome Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The following is a video from the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress, and it shows us the program Your Next Star. It's about 3 minutes long. Is that so, you guys? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nicole.
My name is Melissa.
My name is Philip A. Donahue.
My name is Nina Dudias.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Levy. I work for the Boston Western Kindergarten.
I come to work every day with a smile on my face.
Smile on my face every day.
I have a positive attitude. Great positive attitude. I always on time to work.
All the time. I don't fake being sick.
I don't quit.
I have worked at the State House for 3 years. 10 años.
I've been working here for 5 years. 14 years.
19 years.
I love my job.
I love my job. I love your job.
Yes, I do love my job.
That's definitely true.
I worked hard at school.
I know how to listen.
I know how to overcome challenges.
I've done my whole life.
Having someone in your office with Down syndrome can make a whole lot of difference. Make it better.
For coworkers and customers, I may need a little more time.
Do know the job. Extra support.
Extra tools.
But those are easy to find.
And the rewards will worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it all the way.
A lot of people just come to the grocery store to get groceries, but Phil makes it more of an experience. If he's not bagging on a register, where'd Phil go? If he's on break, they're questioning it. They notice. Phil likes to take care of the customer and make sure that we always remember that.
It's absolutely important in today's world to have a diverse workforce because our society is diverse. When you have people that have a positive attitude, that like coming to work, it's contagious. Nicole is one of our leaders when it comes to that.
The thing that I always say about Melissa is Melissa has become my ambassador. Not only does she take the job very seriously and is very committed to helping the constituents I represent, but she's really there to help anyone.
As soon as John walks into the building, everybody's mood instantly changes. I think John is one of our most valuable employees. I'm proud to call him my co-worker. It's good work.
That's a good way, Bob.
We love working with Lena, and she does a good job.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you value hard work,
Hard work. If you value diversity. Reliability.
with stability,
Honestly.
here I am.
Here I am. Here I am.
Here.
I'm ready for work.
Was it off?
Yes.
There's certainly no doubt that each and every one of the young men and women were the right fit for those companies. Now I'm absolutely delighted to introduce business owner Colette DeVito from Boston. Colette is the owner and master baker of Colette's Cookies. She is an impressive young woman who believes that you must stay focused, follow your dreams, and never give up. Over to you.
Thank you. Can I do this?
You just talk into it.
Oh. But, thank you, President, for having me here today to be at UN. It's my first time being here. Thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you for sorry. Thank you for inviting me here today to speak with you all. I am very honored. Hi, my name is Colette DeVito, and I don't give up on my dreams or let get me down for very long. I am 27 years young and was born with Down syndrome. I graduated from the left program at Clemson University in South Carolina. I spent 3 years looking and interviewing for a paid job. After a couple of days, I would get an email or send the same thing. Thank you, Colette, but at this time, you are not a good fit for our company. I was still determined to have a great career and make money, so I could live independently and pay my own bills. I decided to start thinking about opening my own company. Since I love baking, I decided to bring one of my cookies to a market near my home. I was hoping they would be interested in selling my cookies. And they were. Since last December, I have sold over 160,000 cookies. Now I have decided my mission is to grow my company and give jobs to other people with disabilities that are struggling to find a paying job. Because I know how that feels. I have been seen on CBS Boston, Critical, CBS World News, MSNBC, CNN, and Good Morning America. And my story has been shared over 60 million times on Facebook. I was interviewed by Self Magazine, Good Housekeeping, Internet Magazine, Boston Food Journal, Pop Sugar, and news in many other countries. In the fall of 2017, the Mass Down Syndrome Congress asked me to serve as their new next door ambassador. I travel and speak to organizations across the country, and I am planning your next store to an even bigger audience. I am excited to be working with schools and teaching an entrepreneur class. I am proud that my story is inspiring and opening the eyes and minds of other employers and everyone. I hope people see how much value and drive people with Down syndrome and other disabilities bring to the workplace and to our society. Thank you very much. I am so honored to be here and hopeful to grow and create jobs in other countries too. Just remember, no matter who you are, you can make a great difference in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Colette. It certainly gives us great pause and reason to be here today. Thank you.
Yes. Maria. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
We have one more group. And I think we have one fit.
And Tom James.
Tom, hi, Tom. Nice to meet you. Your name doesn't tell me to know. However, you'd like to
Well, the names are going to come up in a moment. So it's going to be James Trout and then Thomas. Here they are. Takes a moment.
You guys on this side. Oh, okay.
Or you could be different personas.
That's why I'm doing this. So you can all see.
Do you want to show me that way?
We're this way, Tom.
Gloria?
One more?
Yes, yes. So it's coming.
Yeah, don't look. I just wanted to.
You just put it there.
Can we see the slides on here, or is this up behind us? I have a remote. Can you see the slides on here? Or don't put them right now. Ellen, you'll tell me when you want to start.
So now we're on this one.
Andrew, when you have a minute, we have another question.
Andrew, I don't speak English. Ah, okay.
No, I take them. This is just to see the total gems for people to walk. They can see where they're supposed to be. So now we've gone back. We're all you're seated where you are, and then this is the next one.
Yeah, the map's fine.
Okay.
What about for the others?
Yeah,
We'll figure it. Okay. All right. Find out as we do this. Can I use the gavel? It seems quite... Good morning. Just again, greetings to everyone for being here. I'm Bruce Uditsky. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Inclusion Alberta, which is a province or statewide organization representing the interests of people with intellectual disabilities and their families. We have a very strong panel presentation for you this morning on inclusive employment. And because all of their biographies or bios, in fact, are in your packages, I'm only going to introduce them by name because there's about 11 panel presenters altogether, and time is very tight. I've been given more than once military instructions, in fact, to stay on time. So with Helen's help, we'll attempt to do that this morning. And I haven't had an opportunity to really learn everybody's names, so I humbly apologize now for what I'm about to do and appreciate their graciousness in not pronouncing names correctly. I'll just introduce people briefly that are here with me this morning, and then they may wish to introduce themselves further. The purpose of the panel, of course, is to share the experience, the knowledge gained by organizations that support people with Down syndrome and other disabilities, families and individuals with Down syndrome themselves, and of course the employers. And so we hope you'll get a perspective of the different approaches that have been taking across Canada, Italy, Spain, Turkey. I'm not sure I've left out there, hopefully no one. And hopefully share some of the ideas with you this morning that will encourage you to continue the work you're doing already or encourage others to proceed accordingly. So from the Aura Foundation, to my left, or to my right, actually, is Jose Maria Batalla, Gloria Canals, and Maria Cabre. And then to my left, or your right, is Veronica Mulenga, and Tom Sewell, and James Trout. And they'll share a little bit more possibly about themselves. I'm going to try and fit my presentation in as quickly as I possibly can. I want to try to give everybody the time that's been allotted accordingly. So our approach to inclusive employment has been ongoing now for some decades, and I think it probably isn't necessary to say to everyone here today that the value of meaningful, inclusive employment is, for many of us, it's a major sense of our identity, provides meaning to our lives, as we just heard from Colette's presentation, a sense of contribution and belonging, and of course the opportunity to establish additional relationships in our lives, and to some degree, and important as well, of course, is a more decent income to have a better set of life circumstances. However, at least in the Canadian context, the vast majority of individuals with intellectual disabilities or Down syndrome are actually still unemployed, and many of those who are employed are in fact underemployed. So they're not living the fully meaningful lives that we would all hope and aspire to. Typically, that people with disabilities in our country actually experience higher rates of poverty and other forms of marginalization. That is true for Canadians without disabilities, and we are, after 40 or more years of practice around inclusive education, still not a fully inclusive society, using education as only one example. Nevertheless, our work has been about trying to, in fact, create the very opposite, whereby, in fact, the majority of individuals with Down syndrome and intellectual disabilities are meaningfully employed and having an inclusive life. I lost my place there. An inclusive life essentially looks like the life of anyone else without a disability, whatever the culture or the country in terms of where one lives currently. And in fact, it's a life that unfolds unpredictably. That is, by virtue of having an inclusive life, one has the possibilities for a promising future, but with a degree of uncertainty of how that future might unfold over time. And we have been working now with hundreds of families, if not larger numbers of families, over a period of decades, in fact, to assist them in supporting their sons and daughters and others without family to have a fully inclusive life across the lifespan and in every dimension of life at any one moment in time. I'm too fast with this. Excuse me. So just a brief description of Inclusion Alberta, at least the way we would describe ourselves. We're a family-governed advocacy federation over 60 years of experience in trying to advocate for better, improved lives for people. As you'll see through the slides in a moment, we work in partnership extensively with the business community and other sectors of our community in order to enable people to have the best possible opportunities for a meaningful and normative life. And a number of our initiatives have actually received formal recognition as global innovations. When I use the term, you'll hear me refer to inclusive or sometimes normative pathways. And in effect, these are the pathways that are true, at least in the Canadian context, for all of us without disabilities. And our effort and our work is dedicated to attempting to the maximum degree possible with the most natural supports to embed people deeply in those normative and inclusive pathways over time, so that in following the life of someone with Down syndrome, one can hardly distinguish at all a distinction or difference between their lives and the lives of people without disabilities. So one way, these are some of the things I'm going to be talking about just briefly. I won't mention all of them at the moment, and I'll just illustrate them as we go through the PowerPoint. Sorry, this is a very sensitive button for those of you that are going to be using the remote. Okay, sorry. At least in the context of our culture, the development of a career identity, which is essential actually for aspiring to a meaningful work life, really begins in early childhood. It's at that age when children are always being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to do with your life? When they're introduced to the various roles people fill within our communities, families and others have high expectations for children without disabilities. And in fact, there is a constant process of support for one's career aspirations as you're growing up. However, for many children without disabilities, that isn't necessarily the case. And people are not really thinking about an expansive and positive and life-enhancing future, but in fact, maybe even unconsciously have begun to narrow the window of possibilities for their son or daughter with disabilities or for others in our community that have disabilities. So by way of example, it wouldn't be unusual in our culture for families to be thinking at an early age about the university or college or technical institute that their sons and daughters are going to go on to in order to prepare them for adult life and a meaningful career, yet the same aspirations would not necessarily be held for a child with significant disabilities, and therefore, without even being aware of it, one of the valuable means and positive and effective means of creating employment disappears from the radar of individuals and families. And it's also essential that people have as wide a range of experience as possible growing up. For example, inclusive play and inclusive recreation and leisure activities are opportunities to form relationships, learn to collaborate and cooperate, learn to work together, etc. So in every dimension of life, as children are growing up, we're attempting to ensure they have a life as typical, if you want, and or as ordinary as a child without disabilities. This slide, I use this slide basically because it's 40 years old, actually this year, just to demonstrate how long we've been looking at this process, and then we'll share some of the outcomes with you. And even 40 years ago, we were trying to break gender stereotypes by having young children, girls in this case with Down syndrome, pick up, if you want, some construction roles as they're engaged in cooperative play with their peers in an inclusive early childhood environment. One of the avenues we pursue is employment during high school years, which is outside of school hours, which the research and our own experience demonstrates has far greater impact on future employment after secondary or high school than work experience or volunteer activities during high school. So as little as 8 hours a week of work outside of school provides a greater likelihood, in fact, of young people going on to be employed post-high school. Students with Down syndrome have opportunities for work and jobs at high school level that would be no different than what other kids are doing at that age, and in turn they're supported, in fact, by peers of a similar age in order to minimize any stigma, if you want, that's attached to having support, and that support is faded out. And accordingly, people work at competitive wages. And all the examples I'm going to illustrate or talk about, it's always with competitive wages. After high school, we have worked for 30 years now in creating inclusive post-secondary education opportunities. Currently, there are about 26 public post-secondary institutions in Alberta, universities, colleges, and polytechnics, and 20 of them, and soon 22 actually, offer fully inclusive opportunities to young people with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities. All of the things I'm mentioning, in fact, can be found through our website or by contacting me directly. Sorry. I think it's important to recognize that full inclusion means they take the same faculty of studies, the same program of studies, the same courses as students without disabilities. The vast majority are supported by their peers. Professors, instructors adapt and modify the curriculum, and they participate in all aspects of university and college life. There is no separation, no grouping, no congregation. It's fully inclusive approach, and they convocate and graduate and cross the stage in their gown along with their peers. Almost all of the students have paid student employment while they're going to university or college. Then the vast majority, acquire a career job before they leave university. And for over 30 years now, we have had 80% of the students who complete their studies with us go on to secure employment. That's literally the opposite rate of employment that's typical for people with Down syndrome and intellectual disabilities in our, our country. Will this play on its own, or do I have to do something? So if you can read lips, you'll do fine.
Allie coming to U of C, most importantly, has continued her learning that has been with carrying on from high school. She loves to learn, and she's been exposed to many different courses that just provide her that opportunity.
So if you're the parent of a young person with Down syndrome or other disabilities, and you have the opportunity to be in the audience and watch them graduate and convocate along with their peers, it's kind of hard to express in words what that means to both the person with disabilities and their families. And this has been a very successful launch into adult life now for hundreds of individuals over the course of a number of decades. Another approach we've taken to creating employment opportunities very successfully is to partner with other organizations. This one is in reference to Rotary, which is a worldwide organization. There's over 1 million Rotarians, more than 30,000 clubs. Rotarians are typically business leaders, managers, owners, professionals who get together on the basis of their vocation to create positive change in their communities and internationally. And in partnership with Rotarians, we've created over 500 meaningful, inclusive jobs to date, and that continues to grow on a daily basis. In effect, young people with Down syndrome or intellectual disabilities often have a much smaller social network in their lives, less connections, less relationships. And in the Canadian context, the most powerful means by which people secure employment is actually through the people they know. Only a small percentage of jobs are actually advertised. So in effect, we're using Rotarians and their business connections to open doors at the tops of the organizations where the decisions are typically made as to whether or not a company is going to create another job for, in this case, for someone with a developmental disability. What we do is partner with those organizations, with those businesses, the same as would be true for many other organizations you're already familiar with that create employment opportunities. The distinction here is that as long as they're Rotarians, they're continuing to generate new and meaningful work opportunities on a regular basis. And because they're not always clear what's the capacity of somebody with Down syndrome or intellectual disability, they come up with a much wider range of job possibilities and opportunities than is typical for many of us who actually work in the field. And so that's created a much wider array and vast array of job opportunities for people.
Louie and I work at our head office.
I'm going to back up for a second. I don't know if we can lower the volume a little bit or not. This is just to introduce this video. The two people speaking, one is Cody, who I've worked with since, in fact, he was a young child. His mother often says we spent more time, him and his mother, in the principal's office than Cody ever did, as we facilitated his inclusive education. He now works in the office of the president of one of our major banks, actually, and they have, in fact, become friends, and they're speaking a little bit about their friendship in this video. The sound quality isn't great, and we'll give it a try.
Cody and I work at our head office together, and one of the things that you hear people talk about people with disabilities is they become invisible. Either people kind of look away or they stare at them sometimes. And we have about 600 people that work in that building. I think Cody knows half of their names already. I always whisper over, Cody, who is that? He's supposed to know. But I think that's 600 more people in the world that are a little more at ease with themselves when talking to people that aren't exactly the same as themselves. Ruth Ann mentioned Cody and I went to a football game together, and that was kind of funny because I'm a really important guy. I'll take Cody to the game, I'll invite him, introduce him to the mayor and to the president of the football club and stuff like that. And I knew there was something different because we walked in and Cody immediately introduces me to all the cheerleaders.
And so they've become friends. We now work with about 700 plus, maybe close to 800 employers across our province. And I thought I would just close with...
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm...
One more quick part of a video. There's a video Ryan made of himself, actually. It's his video. He works in news production, actually. And I'll just show a small portion of the video Ryan talking about himself.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm 24 years old. And I'm about to graduate from McEwen. I also have a few jobs. This is what it looks like when I walk into work at Ronald McDonald House. I love my job there. I am the design intern with communications. I interview people and record everything for videos. I think they like having me around.
How are you today? Hey, Ryan. Hey, dude. Yeah. Great to have you here. What's on the docket today, Ryan?
On McDonald House is just an awesome place. My job at Chorus Radio is awesome. I work in the CHED office and at city events with the street team, and we have lots of fun. The CHED sports guys are my bros. We always have a great time together at work. Hey Dave Campbell.
Hello Ryan.
This is Ryan McIntyre with 6th grade CHED.
So Ryan gets to broadcast, if you want, with respect to news events that are taking place in our community. I'll stop there in order to ensure everybody else has sufficient time. Andrew's going to take a moment to explain the how to use the translation.
So can everybody hear me? So just for everybody's benefit, two of our speakers coming up will be speaking in Spanish. So just for everybody's benefit, in front of you, you have a mic in a small area. If you look in the top right-hand corner, there are some channel buttons. If you click on the up channel button until you get to channel 4, no, it's actually English, isn't it? So channel 1, English, and then make sure you've got the volume turned up. And then if you put the earpiece on, the white earpiece, then you will hear the translation from Spanish into English. So when Gloria and Jose Maria speak, you will just need to do that. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Gloria Maria and Jose Maria from the Aura Foundation.
Thank you, Bruce. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gloria. I am the director of Aura Foundation, a Catalan foundation, and this is my colleague, Maria. I will do my presentation in Spanish because many of our colleagues with Down syndrome that we serve in Barcelona do not speak English, and they are watching us now. So, hola a todos, hola a tots. Es un gran honor para nosotros.
Hello, everybody. It is an honor for us to be here in such an important day. 30 years ago in Spain, people with Down syndrome only had a path for their entire life. You cannot hear me well, right? They only had a path for their work life to be in a protected shop. We were sure that there could be other, more inclusive options, and that's how Aura was born in '89 with an assertive name that means wind in favor. Our idea, our dream, was to offer the necessary support for the young people with disabilities to be able to work in regular companies. This methodology already existed in the U.S., ideated by Paul Whitman. In the first 8 years, in the first few years, 8 companies signed contracts. It was the first project with employment with support in Spain. We had a lot to prove. Society, companies, and families with people with disabilities. First of all, people, a group of men and women, to give them a confidence vote to show them that they could be adult and responsible workers. They showed it and they reached their objectives. They only needed an opportunity by the companies and our support to make it possible. At the present time, more than 200 people with disabilities are hired in different types of jobs in important companies. Today, we're very pleased to be able to say that Aura has the first group of people with Down syndrome who have worked more than 25 years with a contract and a normalized salary, have paid taxes, and now they start their well-deserved retirement period. A long pathway has been gone. We need to overcome new barriers, and we need new inclusive paths now. What can these workers offer? Willingness, motivation, energy, niceness, affection, effort, just to mention a few. Today we'll have some of the companies that have hired people from Aura explaining their experiences. The entrepreneurs are our best allies. Without our work colleagues, this would not be possible. I want to finish by presenting a video showing topics that still persist and barriers we must break so that Down syndrome people could be considered, each one of them, as unique and have a place in everyone's society. We need you. Thank you for your effort and courage. 6 mitos. I love watching the news, sharing my day with the people I love, supporting Barca, eating chocolate, being with my family or with my partner, walking, listening to music at home, walking, music, basketball, hip-hop. My favorite food is vichyssoise, paella, soup, spaghetti, macaroni, pasta, cauliflower. Me too, that they are childish. I leave that question to you. Am I childish because of the mere fact that I have Down syndrome? I don't think so. I believe we are all different, aren't we? I have a laughing and joking personality, but I wouldn't say it's childish. I can stand it when people give us sweet. When they give us a certain attention, but special attention, that's what I don't like. They can take us into consideration, but equally. Me three, they are always ill. Having Down syndrome isn't an illness. I can't remember the last time that I was ill. At the moment, I'm very healthy with a lot of energy. I don't have many days off of work. Health-wise, I always feel good. I'm very strong. They are always happy. Myth 4. They aren't always happy either. They are happy when good things happen. They are difficult times in life for everyone. When they have a bad day, they have a bad day. I get sad. Lovers kill me. Happiness is made day by day. It doesn't suddenly come to you. Mid-5, they can't make their own decisions. I can make my own decisions. I decide how I vote. Mr. Judge, I want to go and vote for politicians. I can decide to have a life the same as people who aren't like us. I can't stand overprotection. I can't stand it because of the simple fact of being different, that they treat us in a different way. Mid-6, they can't work. I work in Echeverria Dental Clinic. I'm a writer at a company called Winche Redes Comerciales. I work at the Pascal Maragall Foundation. I do secretarial work. I've been working for 22 years. I've been working in the UBS sports business for 25 years. I work at Belviche Hospital. I feel normal at work, and that's why we need a lot of companies that would like to try this experience, and we are sure that everyone will be satisfied. I'm punctual at work. She's professional like us. You dedicate the same time to her as to any other person in the department, like any ordinary worker. It makes her feel like part of society and proud. Proud to be valid. It's normal for a company to be afraid, but Aura makes it easy so that all companies which want to hire disabled people don't hesitate.
Mentioned, we want to thank you so much for inviting us to this important event. As you can see, all of you have a small token of our appreciation from us and from our team. Thanks to Jimmy Lyon's collaboration, you each have a pair of socks in front of you. As you can see, they are colorful and different, so we encourage you to wear them, take a picture of you, and share it in all your social media networks, increasing awareness of Down Syndrome International Day. And now I will speak in Spanish, which is easier for me.
When Gloria founded Aura almost 30 years ago, some people thought that she was a dreamer, others thought that she was very courageous, and others simply thought that she was not going to make it happen. In fact, what she was doing was applying common sense. If people with Down syndrome had an inclusive education, why not an inclusive life in their community and in their society in every aspect? It has been proven that many and different benefits disabled people contribute to the companies where they work. Many and very diverse the benefit that these people get from having a job. Let's not forget that the objective is not to find a job. We are not a placement agency. The objective is to make people be better, feel happy, useful, and successful, therefore improving their quality of life. We are all have the right to decent work, housing, education, and 2018 we shouldn't be here and continue struggling so that people with Down syndrome can have the same rights. But also people with Down syndrome have a lot to offer. The beneficiaries are not only them. The company of the future and of the present is the one that knows how to compete with their limitations and knows how to make the best of the strengths and limitations of people that work there. A company of the present is the one that is not afraid to add, to supplement, to enrich its assets. A person with Down syndrome has limitations like I do and all of us do. And it also has strengths like I do and all of us do.
And like everybody, it incorporates a different way to look at the world. The company of the present is the one that is nice, not a benefit, but the one that has a sense, mission, and values. I'm sure that a mission of a company of the present is not just to produce or make money. Not for a modern company, not for a company of 2018. We've come to the world to do something more than this and to do it in a certain way. Finally, just to say that during this 30 years, we've had many committed companies. I'm sure that in the next 30, we will make sure that every company will have a Down syndrome person working in that company.
I'm going to do my speech in Spanish language because my team are in Spanish in Spain and in Medellin, Colombia, and I know they don't understand me because I don't understand myself. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
Before I started, I wanted to tell you a brief story. Not too many years ago, when Casa Carlota hired a person with Down syndrome, a designer, and journalists came to interview this person. She asked him if he was happy to work in a design study, in spite of the fact of having Down syndrome. Do you know what the answer was? He looked at her in the eye and said that he was not a Down syndrome. He had left it behind. Now he was a designer. Of course, he was aware that he had Down syndrome and that he was born with it, but he was trying to explain that journalist that he had been hired by Casa Carlota because of his talent, not because he had Down syndrome. That was the important thing in his life. Talent, not disability. That's the direction of my talk, and that's what we work exactly in at Casa Carlota. Let me explain it very quickly. Casa Carlota is a professional design study with offices in Barcelona, Spain, and in Medellin, Colombia. And the truth is that we would be very pleased to open up in other parts of the world, and concretely here in New York. We can talk later, and we can start having commercial relations with a company here in New York. As all design houses, we do ad campaigns, logos, branding, packaging for different companies and their brands. But we are slightly different than all the ad companies or studies. We're different because our team of creatives, of professionals, is made by talent of individuals that are more adult, more professionals, more senior creatives. And another part that are young students that come to Casa Carlota to make their internships or their practices from school. The more sexier part, probably why we're famous. The third component is designers with Down syndromes, even with autism and with schizophrenia even. They're with us because of their talents and their special abilities, not because of the fact that they have Down syndrome. We also have Germans. We have a vegan here and there, a vegetarian, and people from other countries, to bald people, short people. We have everything. And do you know why we have this special and diverse team? Because we make creativity and we think that creativity comes about when different brains interact, when we mix different ways of thinking and people who look at things in a different way. That's why for us, for an ad company, a design company, to incorporate people who were born with Down syndrome, we can make use of these different ways of seeing things, different perspectives that might not be the one I have. We have not invented creativity, but a different way to get to creativity. As I know that what I'm explaining to you sounds a little bit weird and probably you don't believe me, We've prepared a short video so that you know a little bit about how our company works, so that people that are watching this video at this moment understand what these conversations are all about. The video, please. Design, of course, is everywhere. It inundates everything. It's what shapes the identity of cultures, people, and cities. But our mind is wired to recreate, not to create, but to recreate. But in graphic design, the obligation is to be original, always. And that is very difficult.
Our designers are selected for their creative abilities. All members on the table have their specialties.
Mucha gente interpreta que en la Casa de Carlota somos muy majos porque dejamos...
People think that with Casa Carlota, we're wonderful because we let people work with Down syndrome, schizophrenia, and other disabilities. I feel mischievous because until now, the industry hasn't harnessed this talent. Do you like my poem? Yes, it's great, thank you. Is this here? Yes, but 4 of them, no. Blue with yellow will be green. No. It's not that they too can create. It's that they do it differently. Here, fine. Outside the line. Ordeal. We have to do more on the tennis brief, but more surreal. A head can be a tennis ball, for instance, yes. What are you painting? Why? It's ugly. No one's home, huh? We try to apply lateral thinking. They are lateral thinking. They always think laterally. My name's Joan. Sometimes I paint. Sometimes I create letters. I don't know what autism is. Well, I hope you liked the video. I want you to know that one of the people appearing on the video is filming with a camera back there for us. It is an amazing experience, but for him it is even more important. As you've been able to see, you must have seen people with Down syndrome, also people with autism, the famous Dutch woman, vegetarian that was running through there, and also short people. I can assure you that in my company, there's no one with disability. We've been working with different creatives like this, and the key is to make inclusion our differential value. I would like to end my presentation with 3 pieces of advice, summarizing the most important things and sharing them with you that we take from Casa Carlota and that we've lived through these years. The first and most important one, as I said before, people with Down syndrome are not people with a disability. The second one is think when you wake up every morning and try to forget prejudices when you see people that are different than you. Accept diversity as part of normalcy. And finally, if you're a business person and you're thinking in hiring people with Down syndrome, do it because of their talent, their ability for what they know what to do, and not because what they don't know. Thank you very much to invite me here to be embarrassed here in front of you. I thank my team and all the people I work with and you for making this world a better place. Thank you.
We'll hear from Veronica, Tom, and James from WorkFit and their experiences.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Yes, my name is Veronica Malenga. I am from the Down Syndrome Association in the UK, and I'm the Employment Development Officer managing WorkFit. I will be giving you just a brief snapshot of what WorkFit is and how it has been going, but my colleagues here today, Tom, James, as well as other employers, will be giving you an in-depth impact as to how that has gone for them working with us. At the Down Syndrome Association, we have developed an employment program which connects employers and people with Down syndrome who want to work. We look at various opportunities, including volunteering, work experience, supported internships, and paid work opportunities. Oh, this goes really fast, doesn't it? There we go. WorkFit is the result of a campaign conducted in 2006, which identified that many people with Down syndrome were not in paid work, nor did they have access to them. The research also identified that employers did not receive appropriate support in hiring somebody with Down syndrome, nor did they know what skills and abilities that they had. From that, we built WorkFit on 5 key principles. Number 1, that people with Down syndrome can actually make a positive contribution in the workplace. Number 2, that we secure real jobs for people with Down syndrome. These jobs that are paying at a going rate, and that people with Down syndrome receive the same rights and terms and conditions as any other non-disabled employees. We work on the ethos that everybody can work if they're in the right job with the right support, and that within those roles there's full inclusion throughout the whole organisation. And finally, that employment should be at the forefront of the individual's learning and development. Having identified the need of a specialist employment program and principles firmly cemented, a bespoke package was created to support employers, because we felt that employers needed that support and guidance all the way throughout in that recruitment, which was not and still is not undertaken at all within the UK. We have an on-site assessment to identify the roles that are available that would be suitable to anybody with Down syndrome. We look at the organisation's business requirements as well as their training and their support development they need in order to make a success of each placement. We provide ongoing training which goes into detail about what the condition is, how it affects the individual, but more importantly to provide that bespoke tools and strategies in order for them to support their colleague with Down syndrome through their career process. Our relationship with our employers is ongoing. We support them all the way throughout and also look at areas to further develop opportunities as well as roles within those organisations. WorkFit has been operational for 7 years now, and in that 7 years we have successfully placed over 200 people with Down syndrome in England and Wales. Our candidates are in the jobs they want, And for our employers, WorkFit has opened up doors. You will hear from 3 of our employers today, where they'll highlight why inclusion matters within their organisation and how WorkFit has supported them through that. I'll now hand over to James Trout, Tom Sewell from the Environment Agency in the UK. Thank you.
Which one is that one there? Yeah, very gentle. Very gentle, okay. Well, while the presentation's coming up, I'd just like to say on behalf of me and Tom that we're both incredibly proud to be here today. It's a fantastic opportunity to share what we've been doing, so thank you. Okay. My name is James Trout, and I work for the English Environment Agency and manage a large environmental testing laboratory as part of our National Laboratory Service. Today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on how working for a forward-looking government organisation has changed how I will work forever. Yeah, it is quick, you're right. Wow. Okay. We're a large organisation with a huge range of responsibilities, and in the short time I've got today, I'm not going to go into detail about our role, but thought I would just share 3 key points which summarise what we do. We help people and wildlife adapt to climate change and reduce its impacts. We improve the quality of water, land and air by tackling pollution, and we work as part of the Department for Environment, Farming and Rural Affairs with our aim to create a better place for people and wildlife. This talk is about leadership. The picture above and on the next slide shows why I'm here today talking to you about our amazing journey with WorkFit and the Down Syndrome Association, because my leaders want it to happen and support people like me to change how we do things. This is the Environment Agency's Chief Executive, Chair and Executive Directors, all wearing their socks for World Down Syndrome Day. They lead our organisation of 10,000, and this slide shows you the type of support and leadership we get to be inclusive. On Twitter today, there are hundreds and hundreds of pictures of Environment Agency staff showing their support by wearing odd socks. I'm very proud to work for an organisation that gave me confidence to take an idea and turn it into something. I knew that my idea would be met with respect and support. Knowing that gives people confidence to turn an idea into action. Our culture comes from our leaders, the driving ambition to be inclusive and for our teams to represent the diverse people we serve. This runs through all areas of the Environment Agency and the Department for the Environment, Farming and Rural Affairs. It's part of our vision, it's part of our planning cycles, part of our decision making, and that makes it part of everybody's thought process. Most importantly, the thought process of people like me and my team recruiting our team members. It took just 45 minutes from my initial engagement with our HR and diversity leads to have enough information to be able to progress. Why? Because the whole organisation has the same leadership message. The whole organisation is working towards the same goal. Our work with the Down Syndrome Association and WorkFit opened my eyes to new ways of thinking. The simple task of converting a single full-time job into multiple opportunities. Opportunities for people to have an impact, to learn new skills, to make friends, to develop, to be independent, and to build the confidence to go on and do more. By breaking down roles, you can also break down processes and adjust them. Those adjustments make roles more accessible. The roles are on standard employment contracts. They deliver real benefits to the environment. These were existing roles. They are just being delivered slightly differently. I challenge any organisation not to be able to adjust roles to make them more accessible. I targeted an underrepresented part of our community and adjusted our recruitment approach, and the positive impact in our organisation has been significant. In a minute, I'm going to hand over to my colleague and friend Tom, to my right, who, along with delivering the site's annual Christmas speech, is a hard-working, talented and positive part of our team. I'm so incredibly proud of all of our team. Tom, Jenny, Ben and Hamza are all helping to deliver the strategy set out by the Environment Agency and government leaders you saw earlier. There is a clear line of sight from their day job to the success of our organisation. Many of our staff are members of professional bodies to help them with their careers. To become a member, you must be working in a professional science environment. I'm currently working with the Institute of Science and Technology and have supported them to become more accessible. We have adjusted membership grades to ensure that all of our team members can benefit from this development. We've also adjusted some qualifications, and this is now with our education board and is due to be signed off this week. And as of last week, Tom became a member of the Institute of Science and Technology and will be starting his qualifications when we get back to the UK. Go on, Tom, give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
I see WorkFit as part of our team. They support us, educate us, and enable us to be better at being inclusive. So many of our staff now understand Down syndrome as a result of our partnership. And word of our success is spreading, and our overarching government department is currently recruiting 2 more team members, Barney and Emily, into our National Contact Centre. This is, without a doubt, the single best thing that I've ever been involved in, and it's changed how I'm going to work forever. I am now going to hand over to Tom to talk about his important role in protecting our environment.
Thank you so much, James. That's very interesting. My name is Tom Sewell, and I'm a laboratory assistant at the Environment Agency laboratory in the Star Cross. My job is to help manage the samples when testing is finished. I look at the samples and decide the best way to manage them. Some are clean, some need to be treated differently because they have labels on them. I understand health and safety and wear protective equipment such as lab coat, goggles and gloves. I also use safety equipment such as a fume cupboard. I have a team who I work with. I'm enjoying part of a team. I'm getting my work done. I'm hard work and I'm professional. They are all very helpful and I get on with them. They very well. They are all professional. I'm excited to come to work and enjoy learning new things, sharing work with others. Working helps with my concentration and enjoy getting paid. And thank you so much for listening to my speech, and I hope you enjoy it. And finally, not least, if you have any questions, please come to me or James, and please do not hesitate. And thank you so much for listening to my speech. Thank you.
Please join me in thanking the panel members from Spain and United Kingdom, and we're going to switch to some other panel members right away. Thank you. We have Italy on one side and Turkey on the other. I'm not sure who's. Somebody's phone. So there's 4 of you? Okay. Thank you all very much for your patience. Next, I'd like to introduce Paola Volterini, or that's an approximation there, actually, from Value Able in Italy. And I believe there's Palmero will also be presenting by video. Is that right?
Yes,
afterwards. Okay. And then we'll hear from the panel members, and I'll introduce them subsequently from Turkey.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Someone said that projects are dreams with deadlines. Our dream was to build up a network of companies that believed in profit as much as in diversity. Companies which thought that different people provide great value to business. Companies that ignored foolish stereotypes. Companies who were willing to make a bet. And you know what? We found them. Meeting all the deadlines, and also thanks to the support of the European Union and its Erasmus Plus program, our dream has come true. Today, 54 companies are the valuable network. And they come from all over Europe, from Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, Hungary, and Turkey. And in addition to our 54 members, at least 50 more companies are thinking of joining the network. We know we will achieve 100 members. Just a question of time. So that's what it is all about. I am so happy to tell you about people with intellectual disabilities who work in hotels, in restaurants, bed and breakfasts, bars, fast foods, as trainees or as workers. People who work with their colleagues every day. Sorry, as usual. People who became able to perform their working tasks on their own. Sorry, it's really... So, what is help? I've tried. Now he is with me. He was with me. People who, but where is here the mistake? We are at Axis Porto Hotel in Portugal. Tutors are Portuguese, but trainees, they are Italian. Thus, unusual is getting usual. People got the opportunity to make an internship abroad. So how did we get there? 3 strategic points and 3 tools. The first point is focusing on the hospitality sector. It includes well-defined and simple job positions which can fit the job profile of many people with intellectual disabilities. Second, promoting long-lasting partnerships between hospitality employers and experienced training organizations. And these organizations act as mediators between the worker and the company and ensure the quality of the inclusion process. Third, building up a network which offers brand identity, awareness raising, training, and help desk. What about the tools? Which tools have allowed all this? The first one is an app which must be customized and supports the persons on their job, always available in their pockets to remind them tasks, tools, and checklists. The second tool is 14 video tutorials. This tool is addressed to tutors and colleagues. Video tutorials about do's and taboos of a proper relation with workers with intellectual disabilities. And the third tool is a quality trademark registered at the European Intellectual Property Office, which attests the engagement of the employer in job inclusion without discrimination. The bronze label is for those employers who host internships. The silver version requires a further engagement, fixed or permanent job for at least one worker with an intellectual disability. And then the golden version is granted to those employers who hire at least one worker and act as ambassadors of the valuable trademark. All these engagements are contained in a code of good practice, which is subscribed by would-be members. The label is not released as a prize, but as a recognition of a long-term engagement. So I told you about numbers, about concepts, but what about people? When interviewed, Mrs. Mena Neves, Portugal, housekeeper tutor, she said, at the beginning I was a little afraid for language and for behavior problems, till the moment I said, Ze, go and take clean sheets and pillowcases. After 10 minutes, he called me, Mena, come and see the bed. I told him, Ze, it's perfect, because it was very well done. About managers. Mr. Formica, manager at the Ibis Hotel in Rome, he said, once we got familiar with them, we don't see their disability anymore, or at least we see it less. This fact makes the hotel more welcoming. Okay, so another valuable manager, Mr. Fernandez, Axis Hotels in Portugal always. At first, we all tend to reject candidates with intellectual disabilities. He was really one of those who refused at the beginning trainees with intellectual disabilities. And he said, because compared to other candidates, we think they will be less productive. But then I have realized that they are usually more loyal to the company that hires them. Because, why? Because they consider that the relationship is much more than a simple employment relationship. Customers value the presence of these employees in our hotels, and they are ready to tolerate errors and oscillations of quality, even when they are caused by non-disabled workers. So, who is behind me? The Valuable Network is managed by an international committee, which is composed by 5 Down syndrome associations, 1 public employment center in Germany, 2 international hotel chains, 1 university, the Italian Hospitality Employers Association, the European Hotel Managers Association, and the European Down Syndrome Association, which is my sponsor. They paid to send me here. And so happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price to make them come true. Come and dream with us. We offer you a visionary project. Thank you.
I think there's a video that's being queued up.
Meliautel International è attiva in Italia su più fronti a livello di corporate social responsibility. Uno dei più importanti progetti in corso è la partecipazione Valuable, progetto partito al Medea di Milano con l'assunzione a tempo indeterminato di un ragazzo con sindrome di Down nel 2017, che è stato selezionato e formato per la gestione del servizio di mensa. Mentre nel 2018 sono state previste 2 sessioni di stage di 3 settimane, l'una per un totale di 4 persone durante l'arco dell'anno, provenienti sia dal Portogallo che dalla Bulgaria. I futuri alberghi e ristoranti che vorranno accedere al circuito Available avranno il vantaggio di essere identificate come strutture ricettive, attente all'inclusione sociale delle persone disabili, con il vantaggio di comunicare un senso di responsabilità sia internamente che esternamente. L'impatto con i dipendenti delle strutture e con l'ambiente di lavoro è estremamente positivo. I ragazzi Down tendono a seminare uno spirito di ottimismo e passione che contribuisce a migliorare il clima professionale. Questo concetto è anche percepibile dal punto di vista dei clienti che frequentano le strutture, che tendono ad appoggiare e collaborare con questo tipo di iniziative, creando un circuito di passaparola che ha un forte messaggio sociale.
I think just one more closing comment.
Mr. Norskese, the employer of the video. Mr. Norskese, he is one of our valuable managers, and he will be the second employer to host trainees coming from abroad, from Hungary and from Germany. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our representatives, panel members from Turkey. We have, again, apologies for what I'm about to do to people's names, actually. So it's Gun Bilgin will be speaking, and then Robert Osborne. In addition to that, we have Tule Bourne and Ezra Altenors. So I think Gun is beginning.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Bruce. Good morning, everybody. I am Gün Bilgin, President of Down Syndrome Association Turkey, and I'm very happy here. And I would like to thank the organizers for putting such a good program together. Today, I will talk about our I Am Independent Because I Work, job coach supported employment program. Let's see if I'm luckier than you. Okay, good. This program, this job coach supported employment program, we have been implementing since 2012. We have several programs, but of course due to time limitations, this is the one we will be concentrating on. Now, I would like to start with a question. The question is why? Why do we do it all? What is the real reason that we do all the therapies, all the early interventions, all the effort? Actually, the basic reason is to answer this one and only question: how to help our children when they grow up, with our children with Down syndrome, when they grow up, to establish independent and self-supporting lives. How are we going to establish independence? One of the answers is independence through work. So how will this happen? I know it is easier said than done. In our I Am Independent Because I Work, it is actually shorter in Turkish, so when it's translated, it becomes a bit longer. In our program, there are 4 partners. Oop. Yeah, did that to me too. Okay. There are 4 partners: the employee, the person with Down syndrome, the employer and colleagues, the family. Let's face it, the families are always in the picture. And in the middle of them, the facilitator, the job coach. The job coach is the common denominator among all parties and establishes clear communication channels with them. However, this is good only as a first step. So as the program develops, The communication flow also will develop to this. And eventually, it will become this. If I'm asked to tell the secret of a successful employment in few words, I would say the big secret is teamwork and equal support for all partners. Let me talk about the structure a little bit, the structure of our program. We visit the candidate company and we make a job analysis. Similarly, a character and skills analysis is made when a person with Down syndrome applies for the program as well. The person with Down syndrome, his carers or family, and the company employees receive trainings, each from their own perspectives. When a matching is done and suitable candidates are chosen, we support the candidates with CV preparation and role plays for interview. They do go through interviews, just like everyone else. After the employment starts, our job coach accompanies the new employee in the new job for a minimum of 2 full weeks. Sometimes it can go up to 3 weeks. And gradually withdraws her support and let the person take over fully. We believe in keeping contact always with all partners, as often as needed, obviously, but minimum once a month. And periodical feedback to all partners is essential throughout the duration of the cooperation. What are the basic principles of the system? If I may talk about them a little bit, it is free. It is provided, the service is provided free to all partners. It is continuous. Once the person is in the program, they remain in. Same for the companies too. As long as the person with Down syndrome works in any company or that company employs somebody with Down syndrome, they are part of in our system. Equal focus is given on the highest benefits of the person and the company. Now, this is a big one, real needs. The jobs are real. They fill a real need. The people are really working and they are needed there. We try to create the right job for the right person. The abilities and wishes of the specific person is checked to match with the type of the job. No discrimination, no privilege either. The employer and the employee has consensus on rights and responsibilities. We believe in equal rights, equal responsibilities. I would like to talk about our results since 2015. This actually covers the 5 years, 2012 and 2017. But we have results in two folds. This is the first part. We have managed 51 employments in 16 different companies in 14 different cities throughout Turkey. And our continuity of employment rate is 88%. The companies varies from banks to hotels, restaurants to pet shops to technology markets, many different companies. The second fold of the result is that developing a model that can be spread all over Turkey so that the application can be localized. So we have 2 books published that can be used during job coaching. Also, we prepared a training program, a training book to train certified supported employment job coaches. What next? We are now working with the State Employment Agency to prepare a protocol to certify their consultants all over the country. There will be 1 consultant certified by us. We are in cooperation with Anadolu University. And this 1 person will be able to make a job coaching to people with intellectual disabilities. This is actually huge. This means application of the model as a state policy, and it really makes us very excited. Now, I would like to invite one of our valued program partners, Hilton Istanbul Bomonti, as an example of good practice by actually sharing their words. They have put this photograph, 3rd of December, International Day of People with Disability, and it says there is no barrier to be a part of a team and share the life together, which we believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Esra Altınörs. I'm the Director of Business. I'm sorry.
You need a different PowerPoint?
Well, should be there. Sure.
Yeah, Robert can go next if that's okay. We need somebody to do the PowerPoint.
Hello, I am Rabujam Osborne. I am very happy to be here and talk to you. I am 23 years old. I am from Turkey. This is me and my family. I work at Hilton Istanbul Bomonti as host. I first started to work in the executive lounge. Then I got promotion. Now I work at Globe Restaurant, the biggest restaurant in the hotel. I love working because when I work, I make lots of friends. And lots, to me, it's probably the most important thing about working. When I work, I earn my money and buy my own stuff. I have my own wallet. Every week I go shopping to my favorite bookstore and buy magazines. As many as I like. Here we are when I took my mother and my brother to dinner with my first salary. I felt so proud. When I work, people respect me. But I had to prove that I could work. Did you have to prove that you could work? When I work, people are surprised. When I speak in English, they are surprised again. I think surprise them a lot. Look at us. Look at me, my friends. We are working in hotels, in banks, in restaurants, in technology markets, in offices. We work in sales. We work in HR. We work in account department. We work in service. We work everywhere because we can come. Let us surprise you. Thank you.
Thank you. No, this. It's not the beginning. Yeah, need to go up. Well, would you please go up to the beginning of the slides? Thank you. Yeah. Good morning to everyone. My name is Esra Altınörs. I'm the Director of Business Development of Hilton Istanbul Bomonti, the Europe's largest Hilton property. It's a pleasure to be here with you today on the World Down Syndrome Day. We have a great honor to lead this project as one of the main supporters of Down Turkey Association. And now I'm going to leave the speech to my colleague Tülay, who's going to give you the details of the project. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tülay Born. I'm the project leader of Bomonti Plus One project in our hotel, and very glad to be here today on this special day. As a Hilton property, we always strive to reflect the global communities where we live and where we work. At the opening stage back in 2014, we wanted to have the long-term relationship with the association in our country rather than having short-term projects. And there we met Down Turkey. Within our expertise, we came on the 3 different main areas that we could support the association. And on top of our list, of course, it was the employment of people with Down syndrome. With the employment, our first step was training all our employees and develop their communication skills before the newcomers. We are still carrying on these refresher trainings on regular basis. After this stage, we do carry on our regular hiring process and sending our vacant position to the association, and these positions are not specially created for them. After selecting the candidates, they pass our regular interview process to come on board with their job coaches. And then we monitor and report their developments to the association on a monthly basis. We currently have 3 team members. They all have direct contact with our guests, and they all work more than 30 hours a week. We have Robert in our main restaurant, and he joined on 2014. And Beyza is in our room service, and she joined in 2015. And also we have İzzetcan. He works in our executive lounge, and he is with us since 2016. And he is the only team member travels with 3 different changes to come to work every day.
Well, now I'd like to have all of your attention on a short video about our employee İzzetcan.
İşe başladığı zaman zihinsel süreçlerde biraz daha sıkıntı yaşıyordu diyebilirim. Anlamadığı halde her şey evet diyordu ya da işte cevap vermiyordu.
Şu anda İzzetcan bayağı sohbet edebiliyor, şakalaşabiliyor arkadaşlarıyla, isteyip istemediği şeyleri söyleyebiliyor. Bireysel olarak çok yol kat etti.
Kaşı, çaça bıçakı yiyorum. Balık, çabadı, tavuklu, pişireceğim, katıyorum.
Bazı müdürler diyor ki yani en çok titizlikle yapılması gereken işleri Down sendromlu personelime veriyorum. Belki biraz daha yavaş yapıyor ama en düzgününü o yapıyor. O yüzden ona veriyorum diyor.
We are so happy to have them in our family. And we do believe ownership our team has taken is the key success of the project. And we have our workshops, and the main one is our kitchen workshops. We had 1-year graduation program, which is designed from our chefs for youngsters to learn to cook to simple recipes. This will improve their culinary skills to be able to find the employment opportunities within our sector. Of course, they receive the certification from at the end of this graduation program. And now it's time to talk about our Dance Plus One. These 14 youngsters have been training over 2 years in our property to become a performance on a special events and organization to gain the donations.
And yeah, when it comes to community awareness, with these articles, we believe that our project has served its purpose, and the awareness has greatly increased in our community. And of course, as a hotelier, the most valuable part of our success is to receive such a great feedback about our team members, such as the one you can see on the screen about Robert. Well, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share our experience with all of you today. Thank you.
I just want to again thank all our panel members, particularly for trying very hard to keep to the time frame that we have. I think you've had the opportunity to hear from 5 different countries, from approaches that cut across the lifespan to working in collaboration with employers, and in particular from hearing directly from the voice of individuals with Down syndrome. I think just listening, I was trying to count how many, probably hit over 1,000 different jobs that have been created from the participants on the panel this morning. And I hope that would inspire all of us to, in fact, see that this becomes an ordinary part of life for every individual with Down syndrome and other disabilities. Please join me again in thanking the different representatives from the 5 countries.
Hello, everybody. You may notice that I don't look a lot like Deborah Rue. My name is Andrew Boyes. I'm the Executive Director of Down Syndrome International. Unfortunately, in the blizzard, Deborah and Sarah Rue were not able to make it here today. It's a real shame because the work that those guys are doing through their organisation, Rue Global Communications, is fantastic, working with companies, big organisations at the corporate level to ensure the successful integration of people with disabilities into the workforce. So we're very sorry that they couldn't be here today, and you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. So in this panel, we will continue to explore the experience and knowledge of employment of people with Down syndrome and disabilities gained by organisations, employers and employees. We'll be getting perspectives about the NDSS US Down Syndrome Works Programme and from representatives of Down syndrome organisations in such places as Kyrgyzstan, Libya and Mongolia. We have some panellists from Poland today, and then time dependent, we have further experiences from Australia, Ireland and Spain. And we will conclude before lunch with a brief presentation about the Video Camp Film Fund. So, on with the show. On On the panel here we have from the National Down Syndrome Society, we have the President Sarah Weir. We have Emily Kaczmarzyk to my right-hand side. We have Heather Laverley over there from Voya Financial, who is a part of the DS Works program. And then over on my right-hand side, we have business owner Blake Pyron and his mother, Mary Ann. So without any further ado, I would introduce you to Emily and Sarah, who will share their experience from the NDSS DS Works program. And then we will move on to Blake, and then from there to Heather to add their perspectives.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrew. And thank you for including the National Down Syndrome Society in today's program. Just a little bit of background on the National Down Syndrome Society. We were founded in 1979. We're getting ready to celebrate our 40th birthday coming up next year. And our mission is very similar to the mission of the United Nations. We are focused on being the leading advocate, the leading voice for the human rights of all individuals with Down syndrome. Today, we're very excited and honored to highlight our DS Works program, which was established in March of 2016. Through our DS Works program, we're really committed to showing the world that people with Down syndrome are ready, willing, and able to work. And you'll hear from my fellow panelists more on how we're bridging DS Works from Main Street to Wall Street and everywhere in between. And as we know, as an organization and as a community, we actually have a lot of work cut out for us when it comes to employment. Employment is not easy, and there's a lot of aspects that we must consider. The truth is today, World Down Syndrome Day is not just about Down syndrome. It's not just about disabilities. It's not just to celebrate the achievements of our community. The tireless advocacy that's happening around the globe, the employment opportunities, the buddy walks, the races, the fundraisers, the partnerships, and the photo shoots. Today, within the walls of the United Nations, we are gathering here on World Down Syndrome Day to challenge the norm. It's about challenging a century's worth of discriminatory laws that hold individuals with Down syndrome back. It's about allowing individuals with Down syndrome to plan for their future, to go to school, to get married, to start businesses, to have equal access to health care, and here to achieve the American dream, or any dream for that matter. Last fall, thanks to the hard work of so many advocates from across the United States, many that are in this room. I see John Cronin in the back, Blake down here, Heather, Mark. We launched a new campaign at NDSS, Law Syndrome. The premise of Law Syndrome is that Down syndrome does not stop or define people with Down syndrome. Here in the United States, it's truly the law that holds them back. At NDSS, we're focused on ending Law Syndrome. And through our DS Works employment program, you'll hear from Emily, Heather, and Blake just how we're doing that. So it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to turn this back over to my colleague, Emily.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate that warm welcome. Again, my name is Emily Kaczmarzyk, and I am the DS Works Program Manager, and it truly is an honor to be here today. As Sarah mentioned, our DS Works program was launched in 2016 really as an initiative, and as our Law Syndrome campaign was launched last October, we really turned it to more of a program. So our program for DS Works has 4 pillars. The first one being our employment resources, our training and career placement, Law Syndrome, which is our legislative platform, and employer partnerships. It has become really a focus for us at NDSS to create opportunities for our self-advocates and throughout our communities. We have a grassroots effort across the country to involve all of our communities and help them find jobs that are meaningful to them. We help at NDSS, we will help with training, we will help with creating opportunities through our strategic partners from Main Street to Wall Street. And we will also provide training, what we'd like to call at NDSS customized employment. So what we do is provide the guide and the pathway to the employer and to the employee. Perfect. Thank you, Helen. In addition to that, we will help the employee find meaningful employment through our job portals. Thank you. And so what we do is we create the jobs, we distribute the jobs through our social media outlets, and allow these employees the opportunity to have an interview with us, and as well as have an interview with the employer. The question we get a lot from employers is, how do I interview a person with Down syndrome? It's the same way you interview anybody else. It's the same pathway through HR. It's the same background checks through any company. It's the same process. And so it really has become a norm for us to get a lot of emails and calls and saying, I want to hire somebody with Down syndrome. And this really brings me to the second and third pillar of our program. It was our legislative campaign, End Law Syndrome. And so this is our big ask that we do on Capitol Hill. This is what we're working so for, to have equal rights for all of our individuals. A huge part of our success with all of this is our employer partnerships. We work a lot with major corporations as well as small Main Street businesses. What we do here is provide them support, and they provide us, our sponsors, to create opportunities within their organization, as well as to create opportunities for employment within their organizations. My dear friend Heather Lavallee is here from Voya today, and Voya has been influential within their own culture to create opportunities for individuals with intellectual disabilities, as well as create opportunities at the National Down Syndrome Society. We'll have a little bit of video later in the program, but back in the fall, we launched our C21, which was a pop-up restaurant in Washington, D.C., with over 250 guests. Everything from the hostess stand, the servers, the wait staff were all self-advocates. Not a crumb was dropped, not a plate was shattered. Everything went beautifully. Blake was a server that night. And thanks to Voya, we are able to now take our C21 dinners on the road. So we will be having 3 different events this year here in the United States. And we're very, very excited to kind of spread that word that individuals with Down syndrome are ready, willing, and able to work. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my dear friend Blake Pyron and Marianne. They have been incredible friends and incredible advocates, not only for themselves, but as far on behalf of the National Down Syndrome Society. And I am so grateful that they're here today.
Happy World Down Syndrome Day, y'all. Right, Blake?
Yeah.
Yes. We're so humbled and honored to be here with so many amazing leaders from our community. And the work of the National Down Syndrome Society is one of no other. I mean, they have brought Blake's Snow Shack to a global level, and that would have never happened without them. We always said, society would say Blake shouldn't have a job, and for sure not own his own business, right?
Yes.
But our family, we said, why not? We feel like the time for change is now. We want employers to have a true, diverse workforce, and we'll no longer stand on the sidelines and allow people to discriminate against our Blake and others with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a video to show you a little bit about our video. I'm Marianne Pine. I'm Blake's mom.
Blake Pine.
And this is Blake's Snow Shack.
Snowshack.
We started a snow cone business because it's hot in Texas. Blake loves the community. He wants to be downtown.
Everyone either knows Blake or Blake knows them.
As soon as I heard about it, I wanted to work for Blake.
Blake has always been full of life. You can't see him and not smile.
And after getting to know Blake, I just knew that he needed to be a part of our football team, so we made the decision to make him one of our captains. You know, one of the main things he does is he leads us out through a run-through sign on Friday nights, and he just helps create enthusiasm for our football games.
Growing up, Blake looked up to his older brother, Mitchell. I always wanted to be like him, do everything he did. He wanted to earn money like Mitchell did.
We saw a problem. Our son needed a job, so we pulled together with our community and made it happen. What do we serve at Snow Shack? Snow cones?
Hot cone.
Pickles?
Hot cone.
And a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah.
Do we have fun?
Yeah.
Do you like being the boss?
Yeah.
He's tough, but he's fair, and he keeps us on our heels.
NASCAR was an unbelievable experience. Seeing Blake's logo featured on the Levine family racing car, it's something we never imagined. There was a time in Blake's life that I worried that he may never have friends, and he actually has more friends than anyone I know.
He always gives me a hug every time I see him, so that lifts my spirits, and I think it does the same thing for everyone on our football team and throughout this whole town for that matter.
You know, society would say Blake shouldn't have a job, and for sure shouldn't own his own business. We say, why not? Blake has taught us a lot about life, and I think he's done that with a lot of people in our community. Say thank you. Say thank you.
I do.
Here we go. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Heather LaValle. I am a executive leader within Voya Financial. We're a U.S.-based financial services organization, and our focus is on securing a financial future, one person, one family, one institution at a time. And we realized about 2 years ago that with our vision to be America's retirement company, we were missing a huge segment of the population. So we expanded our vision. And you can see here on the screen, our focus is to serve all Americans, inclusive of those with disabilities and their caregivers. And this program started, see if I can get this, there we go. So as was addressed by one of the speakers earlier from the United Kingdom, our focus started at the top. Our CEO and chairman said that we feel as though this is not just good business, this is the right thing to do to stand up for all Americans. And so he started this initiative really from the top down, and it's a focus on how can we be a leader in making a positive difference in the lives of those with disabilities. And so what we did, we didn't want to just focus our efforts on how we serve our customers. We also wanted to focus on our employment and within our own organization. So thanks to the partnership with NDSS, we have just hired our first individual with Down syndrome. He's working locally in our Connecticut office. Today is his second day on the job. Just started on Monday, so we're very, very excited to have Jamie on board. We've also done some work with some reverse partnerships through a U.S. organization, USBLN, where we have done reverse mentorships, where we have college students with intellectual disabilities that are mentoring several of our leaders on what it's like to live with disabilities and how to find employment, and then in turn, our leaders will talk to them about employment within corporate America. And the other thing we've also done is working within our recruiters and managers to help understand, and as Emily touched on, we need help. We knew we wanted to hire and expand our recruiting to include people with intellectual disabilities, but we didn't necessarily know where to start. And I would just share naively, when I'm the executive sponsor of our program, and 2 years ago I didn't know as much about it. And I said, how do we find jobs for individuals with intellectual disabilities? And as I was aptly pointed out, You don't. You just have jobs, and you expand your candidate pool, and you look for people with the right interests and the right skills. So this is something we've been very excited about. And then as Emily touched on, we really share a common vision with our partners at NDSS. And so it's not just around how do we help with the employment, but how do we help use our voice here in the United States to help promote and push and change these outdated laws. So as Emily mentioned, we are excited to partner on the expansion of the C21 programs and really use all of our voices across the United States to be able to help and advance the cause of those with intellectual disabilities.
Thank you so much, Heather. And with that, we would like to play one last short video of just a highlight of the magical night that we all shared together at C21 back in October in Washington, D.C.
How about welcome you to your table? Thank you.
I think everyone saw some familiar faces in that video. It truly was a magical evening. But, to summarize really what DS Works is focused on, we can't do it alone. We need members of Congress. We need corporate America. We need small businesses. We need our entrepreneurs with Down syndrome to really show the world the capabilities and the assets and the gifts that people with Down syndrome bring to a more inclusive workforce. So I want to thank my fellow panelists, Heather, Blake, Marianne, and Emily. And of course, I want to thank Andrew and the leadership of DSI for really making today possible and continuing the conversation and the dialogue that must happen for us to change the future and have this movement for the Down syndrome community. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, guys. That was absolutely fantastic. If you guys are able to step down now and exit. And could I ask the representatives from Poland, Kyrgyzstan, and Mongolia to come to the stages as quickly as you feel able? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, Carolina, of course, as well. I apologise for not calling you earlier, but you took the initiative. Okay, thank you. So on with the second half of this programme. We have some guys to speak, and we also have a number of videos to have a look at, which hopefully will take you through to the lunch break. So I would like to pass on now to Anna Fejtska from Poland, who is a public administration employee with the Ministry of Health in Poland, and accompanying her is Monika Zakrewska, psychologist and civil society representative from Poland. Anna, I believe, will now show us a compilation of pictures from her life. So over to you guys.
My name is Anna Fejtska. I'm from Poland. I'm 29 and I finished high school. Now I work in the Polish Ministry of Health, where I sold on correspondence. I really like my job because I can work with fantastic people and earn my own money. In my private life, I'm an active and independent person. I love sports, surfing, horse riding, and especially swimming. I'm the swimming champion of mankind. I'm really happy that I can represent my country, and I would really like to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Monika Zakrewska. It's a great honor for me to take part in the World Down Syndrome Day conference and represent Poland. I work for the Polish Association for People with Intellectual Disability, which has been operating for 53 years and aims to ensure equal opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities, help them live independent life, and to include the disabled into the society. Today, I would like to talk about the Dzwoni Center. It is the Center of Vocational Consulting and Support for People with Intellectual Disability. The center specializes in special career planning and support in finding and maintaining employment for people with intellectual disability in the open labor market. We have many achievements. The Dzwoni Center has been operating for 12 years. It is a nationwide initiative started in 2006. It is the first non-governmental employment agency for people with intellectual disability in Poland. 2,500 people have received different forms of support. Nearly 1,000 people have found a job in the open labor market. And we continue our work despite the lack of stable funding. For our effort, we have been given the Good Practice Award by the Second Zero Project, the conference, the right to wear good policies and practice for persons with disability in 2013. How do we work? Generally, we advise people with intellectual disability how to choose the right career path. First, we help identify the career potential, needs, and abilities of every person. Then we provide support to maintain the employment. Consequently, we create opportunities of natural inclusion of the disabled into the normal life. The key to success is our staff. Our team includes a psychologist, job coaches, and a career counselor. The activity of the agency based on the supported employment methodology. Supported employment is paid employment for people with disability and other disadvantaged groups in the open labor market guide and maintained with the help of job coaches. So, in practice, it looks like this. When a person comes to us, as Anna Feicher, we assess the person's preferences and occupational predisposition, as well as their level of social skills. Then we organize a workshop covering social skills and operating in the open labor market. Finally, we create an individual plans of activity. Then we analyze work position in relation to the individual abilities of our customers. We provide internship at a chosen work position. We provide work for the customer at the place of work, and later regular support and monitoring of employment depending on their needs. The impact of our activity on the Polish society is increasing. The awareness has increased, and there are more employment possibilities for people with disabilities. What we have learned is that there is a need to change the system in order to boost the motivation to take up a job. At the moment, the system discourages people with disability from taking up the job. There should be mechanisms facilitating the transition from a social institution to employment, and in case of a failure, there should be an easy way to go back. There is a need for changing the social awareness regarding people with disability, their abilities and potential. We also lack stable funding, so there is a need of diversification of financing sources. So we're trying to introduce the idea of supported employment into the law as the way of getting stable financing of our activity in the future. Remember that the customer of supported employment is not only the person with disability. He or she is, of course, very important. But without an employer, even the best prepared person will not have a job. Their families are also very important because most disabled people are dependent on them. So to sum it up, our clients in the person with disability, his or her family and friends, and his or her employer and colleagues. Remember also, there are no special work position for people with intellectual disability. They can work everywhere, doing simple tasks allowed by their abilities and predispositions, provided they have some support. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you guys for that, for your experiences from Poland. Thank you so much. So now I would just like to liaise with my excellent tech team down there, and we would just like to play a video from Claire Carroll, who is from the National University of Ireland in Galway. Claire couldn't be here today, but she describes the experiences of adults with Down syndrome as educators on the Speech and Language Therapy course at Galway University.
Hello, my name is Dr. Claire Carroll. The lived experiences of people with communication disabilities is central to our curriculum. We aim to prepare students to become competent clinicians and independent lifelong learners, with an emphasis on lived experiences. Join the discussion on hashtag #SpeakUpForComRights and hashtag #StandUpForHumanRights. We include adults with Down syndrome as educators. Their families, our teaching team, and their community speech and language therapists help them. Declan Murphy, Isabel Dempsey, and Roisin de Burka share their experiences in a classroom setting. From our adult educators, Isabel Dempsey shares, "I am proud to help Mary and the students from NUIG. It's very exciting for me to tell them about my life so far. Marion Ryan and Francis Carr deliver Hear Me communication awareness training with our students to people in the service industry.
I was having my thoughts as obeyed about going to the restaurant.
I helped to teach catering staff and speech therapy students about respect and kindness for customers.
Our students share that Declan Murphy's lecture was just so eye-opening on the difference speech and language therapy makes in some people's lives. Mary Caulfield, speech and language therapist, the adult educators' communication skills and personal development have grown year by year. Thank you. Bye.
The best way to include all this is respect that comprehension is a human right.
So, thank you, Claire, out there on UN Web TV, for sharing your experience and of this very innovative program. I would now like to pass to Nurmat Echaliev, the co-founder of Centera, Public Foundation of Parents of Children with Down Syndrome. We will present a video from Nurmat about employment in Kyrgyzstan, followed by a brief few words from Nurmat. So take it away, please.
Two years ago, we talked to our friends who work in a local coffee shop. They agreed with us to hire a person with Down syndrome to their company. I want to say that this colleague of ours is very diligent and serious with his responsibilities. He's never late and even comes to work 10 to 15 minutes earlier. Almost a year ago, this person came up to me and said, "Brad, now I am earning money. I'm a real man." Then I understood that slowly we can change the world. I'd like to tell to other organizations, do not be afraid to hire people with special needs.
Thank you very much. 7 years ago, when my daughter Abby was born with Down syndrome, doctors told us that she doesn't have any future. 7 years ago, there was no child with Down syndrome who was mainstreamed at school. Moreover, there was no any person with Down syndrome who was employed in my country. However, like on this video, examples of partnership with different businesses and different organizations give me hope that Abby and other kids like her will be able to find jobs in my country. And they will have higher dignity because they will be able to earn salaries and they will be able to contribute to their families' income and to the prosperity of our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurmat, for your inspiring contribution. For what I'm sure will be another inspiring contribution, I would now like to turn to Shulten Erdenechulan, Executive Director of the Down Syndrome Association Mongolia. Erden will be telling us about their vocational training program.
Well, thank you very much. Mongolian Down Syndrome Association is very happy to be part of you today, once again at the United Nations celebrating the World Down Syndrome Day. We are at our start of employing Down syndrome people, those who live with Down syndrome, those who live with intellectual disability in Mongolia. In 2017, last year, we just made our first steps towards vocational training in Mongolia for young adults with Down syndrome, and now we has just started the project, which is named Mushroom Ring. Mushroom Ring can grow anywhere, including every province of Mongolia, after the first completion will be done in a capital city in Ulaanbaatar. Well, young adults aged 18 plus, 16 plus, together with their unemployed moms, they are doing the proper vocational training, gaining the skills necessary for working in public cafes. They're making sandwiches, making coffee, they pack lunches, and most importantly, they learn how to welcome and how to serve customers. Being very honest, Mongolian society is not very aware of the fact that people with Down syndrome can be radiant, very happy, and very good performing staff of any dynamic working team. And the only organization in Mongolia, Shangri-La Hotel Ulaanbaatar, she is pioneering in the field of employing adults with Down syndrome. I would say that employers in Mongolia, they prefer paying penalty instead of hiring Down syndrome people, the number of the disabled, which is quoted by law. And so our project is going to be ice-breaking, it's going to be fighting against social stigma, and will be just the first project which will let our employers local to know that Down syndrome people are able, they are willing, and they are good performers, which will make their own contribution in development of Mongolian society. Flying team, which is projected, is a group of young adults who will deliver lunch to business organizations in downtown in Ulaanbaatar city. And you see some projects, mothers, okay, stay here. So you see the training process of the young adults who are learning to pack the food. Their very first classes we're doing at our association facility. Delivering lunch to business organizations will mean it's not just a good practice of using the properly trained skills, but it's also a big action of social promotion to potential Mongolian employees, saying that, let's see, we are able, we are capable, we are willing to do, and we will be one of the best staff you will ever employ in your organization. So thank you very much. We are very happy to show you the photo of the first Mongolian taxpayer with Mongolian, the first Mongolian taxpayer, Mongolian girl, who is employed by Shangri-La. And now she is working, she is part of the very dynamic working team of Shangri-La Hotel, and she is an example that young adults will also be employed one by one. And very soon, I hope we will be able to introduce the best practice, which is will be the best practice of Mongolia, to be shown, to be told at United Nations Conference. Thank you very much. We are very eager to learn from your best practices, so welcome to Mongolia, welcome to share what you have, and we will be good cooperators. Thank you.
Thank you, Eden. And those previous two presentations highlight, that the work of Down Syndrome International is to try to support organisations such as yours in sometimes very challenging situations. But what we come across time and again is timeless effort that goes into improving the situation for people with Down syndrome in your country. So, thank you very much. We would now like to play a video from Carmel Ellis, Managing Director of the IMCH in Queensland in Australia. You will see a biography for Carmel in your programs. This video from Australia shares very early considerations in the employment of a person with Down syndrome.
Australia. My name is Carmel Ellis and I am the Managing Director of a Montessori Early Learning Centre in Brisbane, Australia. Thank you, Helen Powell, for inviting me to share my very early experience in employing a young lady with Down syndrome to work in one of our kindergarten groups. I am a real novice in this area, however, we've had the opportunity to learn through our early mistakes. So I'll start with the interview process, and I'd like to use our employee's first name. We invited Ruth to have a support person with her at the interview. However, all our questions were directed to Ruth and not to her support person. During the interview process, I spoke very clearly and used short sentences to ensure Ruth understood. I allowed longer for the interview, as I was actually very inexperienced in interviewing a person with Down syndrome, and I wanted to ensure that she was comfortable and understood my questions. We avoid speaking to Ruth in metaphors and acronyms. For example, when referring to her remuneration as part of her pay package, I used the term pay. After talking with her, I gauged the level of support she would need during the orientation process, and I was able to provide this for her. So instead of a whole day orientation, I broke it down into 2 half days. Our orientation officer walked her through the centre and introduced her to all other staff. We allocated Ruth a mentor to whom she could go to ask questions and who could support her in the very early stages. We drew up a daily schedule which also included her breaks. We used large font to ensure it could be easily read. I am very mindful of confidentiality, as I had noticed that there had been occasions when Ruth had spoken about a child from her group to other educators. When this happens, I ensure I speak to Ruth immediately and respectfully. With Ruth's permission, I included her mother in all of my correspondence, as she was then able to put further clarity around some of our procedures. Ruth has worked at our centre for approximately 5 weeks now, and we're still getting to know her strength, one of which is visual. We are now including visuals on her daily schedule. Ruth has come to work at our centre, and while we value her input, we also value the fact that as she learns, she has also come to teach us all something, and we are embracing this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmel, out there. So I would now, we'd like to show a video next from Fatima Benema from the Libyan Down Syndrome Association. The video depicts the first formal employee with Down syndrome in Libya, employed in IT at the Special Students Bureau at the Ministry of Education in Libya.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, my name is Mahza Mustafa Dewi. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Libya. I'm a member of Libyan Down Syndrome Association. I'm working as an employee and Ministry of Education. Thank you. Bye.
So thank you to Fatima and to Boha. I would just like to say on that, in terms of Libya, DSI did a project with Libya back in 2009, and then for many years we lost contact. So it's amazing to be back in contact with them and to see that they're doing some incredible work. So we have two more videos from Spain. So first of all, from Desigual, is that pronounced correctly? Who an organisation who many of you will have heard of, who work with the Aura Foundation. This video is entitled "A Day in a Life" and features David Moreno from Spain at work at Desigual in Barcelona. So take it away, please.
Soc David Moreno, tinc 32 anys, treballo al Desigual. L'aparcament que estic és back office, amb les companyes com Neus y otras compañías.
La función de David en la compañía básicamente es de asistencia, nos ayuda muchísimo al departamento.
Fer correu, portar papers a les impressores i fer sales. Al principi costava una miqueta, amb l'ajuda de les companyes i la meva tutora m'han ensenyat com fer les coses ben fetes i estic molt bé.
Él entró en la fundación con una formación previa que él tenía y con unos deseos de trabajar. Entonces, de repente, ahora le surgió la posibilidad de colaborar con Desigual. Desigual ofreció un puesto de trabajo. La ventaja que tuvimos aquí es que Desigual es una empresa joven. Entonces, el ambiente encajó muy bien. Entonces, esto para David supuso el sentirse incluido.
Sentim molts amics, sí. Abans, quan estava a Bruc, no coneixia ningú i ara que estic aquí, ya conozco más.
Es una persona muy sociable, se conoce a todo el mundo en el edificio, muy sensible también porque las cosas las vive muy intensamente.
Todo el equipo.
Todo el equipo.
Al año así de que entrara David hicimos un equipo de fútbol. Fue participando, nos fue dando alguna orden, algún comentario técnico y se autoproclamó entrenador del Desigual Fútbol Club. Nosotros evidentemente lo aceptamos porque es un tío que tiene mucho criterio, sabe mucho de fútbol.
La tàctica, com defensar bé i recuperar pilotes i guanyar tots els partits. Porto 9 anys que estic aquí, jo m'imagino vull continuar i fer coses noves i soc feliç.
So thank you to Desigual and to Aura. And time for one more video. I'm just going to incur the wrath of the UN technicians and just have one more video. So this is from Daba, exclusive distributor of Nespresso, who also work with the Aura Foundation.
Les meves companyes i els meus jefes d'aquí i res, pues, que treballem molt a gust i que recomano molta gent que vingui i pues això, la meva feina com veieu és reposar els cabells i tantes coses y res, estic molt a gust, estic com a casa.
Me gusta de trabajar, de reponer siempre y cuando falta algo me apunto en la hoja que yo tengo allí y siempre me pongo.
con Bernat realmente es una experiencia muy bonita, que es una persona que aporta mucha alegría a la empresa y a los compañeros y realmente es un placer trabajar con él desde el principio.
Llevo casi 8 años trabajando con Lorena aquí en Nespresso y la verdad que es una persona que es súper responsable con su trabajo, se preocupa por todos sus compañeros, siempre está pendiente de que a nadie nos falte nada, siempre se preocupa por tenerlo todo bien organizado.
Porto 3 anys i mig amb Clara. Clara bueno, és com part de la família, part de nosaltres, sempre està molt pendent de qualsevol detalleta, si falta un tub, si faltan packs, siempre vol fer més.
Llevamos trabajando con Monse desde hace 3 años y es muy satisfactorio verla cada día ser más independiente. Muchas gracias ahora por esta oportunidad que nos estás dando.
Thank you. So thank you for that. Just for everybody's benefit, if you struggle to see the subtitles there, either in the room or on UN Web TV, all of our videos will be on the World Down Syndrome Day website in due course. So in terms of specifically employment, thank you to everybody on the panel for sharing your varied experiences from around the world. We've all gained insight and knowledge which hopefully can be replicated to further promote the employment of people with Down syndrome and disabilities in other countries. Now, just to finish off and take us into the lunch break, we have something slightly different but very much related. So I would like to hand over to Carolina Pasquale, Director of Video Camp, who would like to launch the 2018 Video Camp Film Fund Inclusion with Instituto Alana.
Thank you. Hello to all of you. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Carolina. I come from Brazil. And I'm here representing my team to share a new initiative with you. And I hope that you help me share with the world. We are launching today the 2018 edition of the Video Camp Film Fund with UNICEF as our institutional partner. Video Camp is a free online tool that democratizes access to culture and information. It has over 300 impact movies available for free public screenings, and they can be organized by anyone, anywhere. If a film can change the perception around some important issue, we want to take it as far as we can. And that's what brought us here today. We are proud to announce that the theme for this edition of the Film Fund is Inclusive Education. Sponsored by the Alana Foundation, the philanthropic arm of the Alana Group, that has already invested $6 million in research, a big part of them related to Down syndrome, this fund also highlights the importance that communications and movie making have to Alana. It's about impact and scale, mobilization, and change. The winning project will receive $400,000 to produce a movie. It can be fiction, documentary, or animation. Submissions begin today and go until June 21st. All filmmakers from all countries are welcome to apply. The selected project will be announced in September. And why are we doing this? Every day, people with disabilities face discrimination, lack of empathy, and insufficient public policies to assure their rights. Countries with laws that fail to empower them as citizens. And those are only a few challenges. Unfortunately, there are many more. Studies suggest that there are anywhere between 93 million and 150 million children living with a disability globally, and around half of these children are out of school. We are talking of at least 50 million children. This needs to change. Research shows that children with disabilities educated in inclusive environments are around 11% more likely to find competitive employment and 10% more likely to live independently as adults compared to children with disabilities who are not educated in inclusive environments. Your statements here today are a proof of that, and that's why we've decided to launch the Film Fund here. With the fund, we are looking for a creative vision that will broaden perceptions about how all people with and without disabilities benefit from an inclusive education. We are looking for a curious, sensitive, and outstanding movie that breaks down barriers, values diversity, and interpersonal relationships. A movie that can help the question that brought us all here today. What do we bring to our communities? Once the film is finished, it will be made available as part of VideoCamp's free catalog of social impact films. We will help promote it with the support of a global network of partners, including, of course, UNICEF and Down Syndrome International, to whom we are greatly thankful. With everybody's support, it will reach a giant audience, and it will, we are sure of that, change hearts and minds. We know that while a movie may not change the world, it changes people, and people change the world. So please help us spread the news. I'm going to share with you now a clip that we made to promote the Film Fund. It is available online on Facebook and on our website. Please share it, support it, send it to that great filmmaker that you know. Let's make this happen together. Thank you very much, and let's please watch the clip.
To make a movie. What if this movie discussed a topic of worldwide importance? Hi, my name is Luna. I'm a 31-year-old Black woman. I'm sitting on a tall stool wearing a pink outfit in front of a background with colorful geometric figures. Sitting on my left side, there's Graciete, a 38-year-old white woman wearing an all jeans outfit. She's our deaf interpreter of International Sign, a universal variation of sign language. Did you know that according to the WHO, 1 billion people live in the world with some sort of disability, whether visual, auditory, physical, or intellectual? That's 1 in 7 people. And there's more. UNICEF estimates that of the 93 million children with disabilities in the world, 80% live in poverty. With how many people with disabilities do you live or work with? 1, 2, maybe none, right? That makes sense, because most times disability is invisible. That's why the theme for 2018 VideoCamp Film Fund is Inclusive Education. Be sure to submit your project by June 21st, 2018. We know that while a movie may not change the world, it changes people. And people change the world. Visit videocamp.com/filmfund2018.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, VideoCamp, and thank you, Instituto Elana. Down Syndrome International is absolutely delighted to be a part of this project, this groundbreaking project. So that's the lunch break, guys. If you could just make your way up via the top there, out to the lunch options down on floor 1 and floor 1B. We will see you back here on time, hopefully at 3 p.m. So thank you very much.